People used to tell us we were the kind of couple that made others believe in love again. Our love is quiet, not dramatic, but felt certain. Her name was Flora, and loving her felt like stepping into sunlight after years of shade. We met in the most ordinary way possible, a bookstore. She was standing on her toes, trying to reach a novel from the top shelf. I remember watching her struggle for a full 5 seconds before walking over. "Do you want help?" I asked, trying not to sound amused. She turned and smiled. She didn't appear to be embarrassed or annoyed, just bright. "I was about to conquer it myself," she said. "I got the book anyway." That was the beginning. We weren't fireworks. We were warmth. Slow mornings with coffee and quiet music. Grocery shopping that somehow felt like an adventure. Arguments that ended in laughter because neither of us liked staying angry. She used to rest her head on my shoulder during movies and whisper commentary like we were the only two people in the world. We held hands in parking lots. We kissed in elevators. We shared playlists and plans. Big ones. Travel maps pinned to the wall, apartment hunting tabs open on our laptops. We talked about kids, names. The future felt less like a dream and more like a schedule. Even our friends admired us. "You two are solid," Marcus once said. "Disgustingly healthy." Her best friend laughed. At parties, we didn't cling to each other. We didn't need to. We moved independently, then gravitated back naturally, like magnets that never questioned their pull. I trusted her completely. She knew how to love me in ways that felt personal. She'd remember small things I mentioned in passing, like how I hated coriander or how I couldn't sleep without a fan on. On my birthday, she surprised me with tickets to see my favorite band. Not the popular one. The obscure one I'd mentioned once at 2 a.m. she remembered. She always remembered. When I got promoted, she cried before I did. When my father was sick, she stayed at the hospital overnight without being asked. She never felt temporary. She felt permanent, and permanence is intoxicating. The first time I noticed something different, it was small, too small to accuse. Too small to question. She started smiling at her phone more. Not the usual scrolling smile, but a very private one. The one that curves only half her mouth. "Who's that?" I asked once. She shrugged casually. "Just work stuff." And I believed her, because I had no reason not to. She became slightly busier. Late evenings. More "I'm exhausted" texts. But when we were together, she was still affectionate, still warm, still her. That's what made it impossible to doubt. If someone is drifting, they usually pull away. She didn't. She leaned in. She kissed me longer. She laughed louder at my jokes. She said, "I love you" first, almost urgently. If anything, we looked even stronger. That's the dangerous part when the outside looks perfect. One night at dinner with friends, someone asked when we were getting engaged. She squeezed my hand under the table. "Soon," she said. "Soon." I smiled, because I had already bought the ring, hidden in my bed drawer. I had imagined the moment 100 times, her shocked laugh, her hands flying to her mouth, her tears, the way she'd say yes before I even finished asking. Everything was ready. Everything made sense. The day she asked to meet at our favorite cafe, I assumed she had figured it out. Maybe she found the ring. Maybe she wanted to talk about moving in together. She arrived 5 minutes early. That was normal. She wore the green sweater I loved. That was intentional. When she saw me, she smiled. She looked radiant, her hair falling effortlessly around her shoulders, her eyes brighter than usual. her skin glowing in the late afternoon light. She was more beautiful than I remembered, and somehow that made my stomach tighten. "I've been thinking," she said. "Those 4 words can undo years." I laughed lightly. "About?" She folded her hands together. There was no nervousness in her hands, no tremble in her voice, just a quiet, unsettling composure. "I think we've grown into different people." The sentence didn't register at first. It floated, then landed. "What?" She kept smiling, almost apologetic, like she was comforting me through something she had already survived. "I don't feel the same anymore." I waited for anger, for tears, for something messy, but she just watched me, like she had already cried somewhere else. "You're joking," I said. She shook her head slowly. "No." I searched her face for cracks. There weren't any. "You said soon," I whispered. Her smile flickered, just slightly. "I meant it at the time." "At the time?" The phrase felt like a blade. "When did it change?" I asked. She hesitated, and in that hesitation, I saw guilt, not confusion or doubt. "There's someone else," I said quietly. She didn't deny it. She didn't rush to reassure me. She just exhaled, and that was confirmation. "It wasn't planned," she said softly. "It just happened." That's the sentence people use when they don't want to admit they chose it. "How long?" I asked. She looked down at the table. "A few months." A few months, while we were planning trips, while I was hiding a ring in my drawer, while she was saying soon. "Who is it?" My voice didn't sound like mine. She swallowed. "You've met him." The world narrowed. "Marcus, my best friend. The one who called us solid. The one who stood in my kitchen drinking beer while she cooked. The one who joked about being the best man at our wedding." She nodded once, almost imperceptibly. And in that moment, every late night, every smile at her phone, every urgent "I love you" made sense, not as affection, but as compensation. "Does he love you?" I asked. She looked at me, and for the first time, her smile faltered. "Yes." "And you?" Silence. Then, "Yes." It was quiet, almost gentle. That hurt more than cruelty would have. "I never meant to hurt you," she whispered, and I believed her. That's the worst part. She wasn't cruel. She wasn't heartless. She just chose differently. "I wanted to tell you sooner," she said, "but I kept hoping it would pass." It didn't. It grew. Right beside me. While I was planning forever, she reached across the table, not to hold my hand, just close enough to show she still cared. "I don't want this to be ugly," she said. And then she smiled. Not maliciously, not triumphantly, just softly, like she was trying to soften the blow. But that smile, that controlled, careful, composed smile, was the moment I understood. She had already left, emotionally, weeks ago, maybe months. I was the only one still in love. When she stood up to leave, she leaned down and kissed my cheek. "Thank you," she whispered. "For what? For loving her well? For making it easy to leave? For not seeing it sooner?" I watched her walk out of the cafe, straight-backed, certain, and smiling. The bell above the door chimed softly, like it didn't understand what it had just witnessed. I stayed seated, because standing would mean it was real. My coffee had gone cold. I didn't remember ordering it. I didn't remember breathing either. Outside, she paused at the sidewalk. For a second. Just a second. I thought she might turn around. She didn't. She checked her phone and disappeared into the afternoon crowd, like we had never existed. The hardest part wasn't the betrayal, it was the normalcy. Cars still passed, people still laughed. A couple at the next table argued about dessert. The world did not collapse. It just continued. And I realized something terrifying. My life had been split into two timelines. Before her smile and after it. That night, I went home and opened my bed drawer. The ring box was still there, waiting and unaware. I held it in my palm for a long time. It felt heavier than it should have. Not because of the diamond, but because of the future inside it, a future that no longer existed. I didn't cry. Not at first. I just sat on the edge of my bed staring at the wall where we had pinned travel maps, Paris, Kyoto, Iceland, dreams that now felt like postcards from a country I'd never visit. The messages started coming later. First from Marcus. "Hey man, can we talk?" Then Flora, "I'm really sorry." I didn't respond because I didn't know which betrayal hurt more. Losing her. Or losing the version of my best friend I thought I had. I replayed everything. The late nights, the group dinners, the jokes. Then I asked myself, how long had I been the only one unaware? How many rooms had I stood in smiling while something was already dying behind my back? Days passed, then weeks. People chose sides quietly. Some said, at least she was honest. Others said, that's unforgivable. But honesty, when it comes late, still cuts. I saw them once, together, by accident, at the grocery store. They looked easy, comfortable, like the beginning of something. She laughed at something he said, the same laugh she used to give me. And when she saw me, she didn't look guilty. She didn't look ashamed. She looked steady. And that's when it truly sank in. She hadn't left in a rush. She hadn't fallen impulsively. She had transitioned, carefully, quietly, while still holding my hand. The anger came later, not explosive, not dramatic, just slow and suffocating. I wasn't angry that she loved someone else. I was angry that she let me keep loving her while she was already somewhere else. I was angry that she kissed me goodnight while building a goodbye. I was angry that she smiled while breaking me. But heartbreak does something strange. It strips you. It removes illusion. Weeks after, I realized something uncomfortable. There were signs, subtle shifts, moments I dismissed because they didn't fit the story I wanted. Love makes you generous with excuses and blind with hope. She didn't wake up one morning and betray me. She drifted, and I didn't see the tide pulling her away. Or maybe I did, and I was afraid to admit it. Months later, Marcus reached out again. "I never meant for it to happen like this." I finally replied, "It didn't just happen." Because love doesn't just happen. It grows. It feeds. It is chosen. Every day. And so is betrayal. The last time I spoke to her was brief. No anger, no shouting, just closure. "I hope you're happy," I told her. She smiled again, that same composed smile. "I am." And strangely, that freed me, because if she could walk away so steadily, then what we had was already fragile. I just didn't know it. People think betrayal destroys you. It doesn't. It reveals you. It forces you to sit alone without distraction and ask, did I love her? Or did I love the future I imagined with her? Did she deceive me? Or did she simply outgrow me before I was ready to let her go? The answers weren't simple, but they were honest. And honesty, even when it hurts, is cleaner than false hope. I threw the ring away eventually, not dramatically, not angrily, just one quiet afternoon. I watched it disappear into the river, a small splash, a silent ending. And for the first time since the cafe, I didn't picture her smile. I pictured my own future, unwritten, uncertain, but mine. Because sometimes the person who smiles while breaking up with you isn't heartless. They're just already gone. And the real heartbreak is realizing you were the only one still holding on. Do you think she betrayed him? Or was she just honest too late? Let me know what you think. Follow for more stories about love, truth, and the moments no one prepares you for.